If you are currently in your 20s, I have some good news and some incredibly bad news. The bad news is that you are probably making a quiet, invisible mistake right now that is going to cost you literally over $1 million by the time you retire. The good news? You can fix it in the next 10 minutes. And no, this isn't about skipping your daily iced coffee or working a grueling 80-hour work week. It comes down to a single fundamental law of wealth creation that most people don't figure out until it's way too late. See, in your 20s, you might feel like you're broke. You're trying to pay rent, buy groceries, maybe pay off student loans. Investing seems like something for rich older people who have spare cash lying around. But here's the brutal truth. When it comes to building wealth, time is infinitely more valuable than money. And right now in your 20s, you're sitting on a gold mine of time. Let me show you exactly what I mean, because the math behind this is wild. Enter the concept of compound interest. Albert Einstein famously called it the eighth wonder of the world. Simply put, compound interest is when the money you earn on your money starts earning money of its own. It's a powerful, self-multiplying snowball effect. Think of it like rolling a tiny snowball down a massive, snow-covered mountain. In the beginning, you have to physically push it yourself, and it doesn't look like much. But as it rolls down the hill, it gathers a thin layer of snow. Then that new layer acts as a magnet, catching an even larger layer on the next rotation. By the time it reaches the bottom of the slope, that fragile little handful of snow has transformed into an absolute, unstoppable avalanche. In the financial world, you aren't just earning a return on your initial principal, the cash you pull out of your own pocket. Instead, you are earning a return on the growth you already accumulated. The interest you earned last year gets its own job, starts working for you 24/7, and begins breeding tiny baby dollars that immediately go out to do the exact same thing. It is a relentless loop where your money does the heavy lifting, completely divorcing your income from the hours you spend at a desk. And the secret ingredient that turns this snowball into an avalanche: time. Let's look at a quick story of two friends, Alex and Sarah. Alex starts investing at age 20. He puts away just $200 a month into a standard index fund that gets an average 8% annual return. He does this for just 10 years, and then at age 30, he completely stops contributing. He never adds another dollar. He just lets it sit. Now, let's look at Sarah. Sarah waits until she's 30 to start. She realizes she needs to catch up. So she invests that same $200 a month, but she does it for 35 years straight, all the way until she's 65. By age 65, Sarah invested for 35 years and put in a total of $84,000 of her own cash. Her final balance, about $410,000. Not bad, right? But what about Alex, who only invested for 10 years in his 20s and then stopped? He only put in $24,000 of his own cash. His final balance at age 65, over $530,000. Think about how insane that is. Alex invested $60,000 less than Sarah, stopped contributing decades earlier, and still ended up with over $100,000 more than her. Why? Because his money had an extra 10 years to compound in his 20s. That is the cost of waiting. That is the $1 billion mistake. When you are in your 20s, you're sitting on a quiet superpower. You have three massive structural advantages that will systematically disappear with every single year that passes. If you do not exploit them right now, you're stepping onto the wealth-building playing field with a massive self-imposed handicap. First, your structural risk tolerance is at an all-time high. Let's unpack what risk actually means. In the short term, the stock market is a wild roller coaster. It jumps up, it plunges, it moves sideways. But over the long term, historical data shows it has a highly predictable upward trajectory. If you are 62 years old and the market drops by 30%, it is an absolute catastrophe. You might be forced to postpone your retirement, sell your assets at the worst possible time just to make ends meet, or watch your life savings evaporate right when you need them most. But if you are 22, a market crash is not a crisis. It is a massive store-wide clearance sale. You have a 40-year runway ahead of you. You don't need to touch that money for decades, which means you have the luxury of time to sleep peacefully through economic downturns, knowing with mathematical certainty that you can ride the wave all the way back up to new heights. Your youth is a shield that makes you structurally immune to short-term market volatility. Second, your baseline financial overhead is likely the lowest it will ever be. For most of us, our 20s represent a unique window of relative simplicity. You might live with roommates, split utility bills 3 ways, cook simple meals at home, or drive a high-mileage, beat-up car that simply gets you from point A to point B. You likely do not have a 30-year mortgage hanging over your head, costly childcare invoices to pay every month, or aging parents who require your financial support. Yes, money might feel tight right now because you are starting out at entry-level wages, but your non-discretionary commitments are incredibly low. This is the only time in your life when you can actively choose to live well below your means without affecting anyone else. Every single dollar you aggressively route into your investments right now has massive leverage because it isn't being cannibalized by the heavy, unavoidable financial obligations of midlife. And third, you have a license to make cheap mistakes. Think of your 20s as a sandbox mode in a video game. If you try to invest, make a bad call, and lose $500 or even $1,000 because you made an emotional decision, it will hurt your pride today. But in the grand scheme of your lifetime earning potential, that is an incredibly cheap tuition fee. You're paying a tiny learning tax to develop the psychological discipline, analytical skills, and emotional control that will protect you later in life. If you make that same emotional, uneducated investing mistake, when you are 52, managing a retirement portfolio worth $500,000, that exact same error could easily cost you $50,000 and set your retirement plans back by half a decade. Learning how to manage loss, control your emotional impulses, and understand market cycles when the financial stakes are low is a massive, irreplaceable advantage. But look, I get it. Some of you are watching this thinking, that's great, but I literally don't have $200 a month right now, and that is totally fine. Because the secret to investing in your 20s isn't actually about the amount of money. It's about building the investing muscle. If you wait until you make a good salary to start investing, you will never start. Because as your income grows, your lifestyle automatically expands to match it. It's called lifestyle creep. Suddenly, you're making 80K a year, but you've got a nicer car, a bigger apartment, and you still have no money left to invest. But if you train yourself to invest just $10 a week right now, even if it feels pointless, you're building the habit.